yesterday after the U.S. Supreme Court decided late Wednesday night to allow Texas's heartbeat bill to go into effect. President Biden released a statement calling the 5-4 ruling an unprecedented assault on a woman's constitutional rights under Roe versus Wade. And he announced that he is, in response, launching a whole government effort to see what steps the federal government can take to ensure that women in Texas have access to abortion. He also drew attention to his Gender Policy Council, which he said was created to react to such assaults on women's rights. Now, is President Biden the women's advocate he claims to be? Or is this just more about ideology that claims the mantle of women's rights when it's convenient? Joining me now to discuss this is Mary Szoch, the director of the Center for Human Dignity at Family Research Council. Mary, good to have you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, what was your response? What is your response to President Biden's statement about women's rights in response to the Texas law?
You know, I wish President Biden was a staunch defender of women's rights, but everything he said couldn't have been further from the truth. First off, the Texas law actually protects women and defends baby girls in the womb and their mothers outside who are outside the womb, obviously. But you know, Joe Biden has a history of saying that he's protecting women when actually he's placing them in greater danger. We've seen that with the Mexico City policy, where he prioritized the funding for abortion providers over providing clean water and educational opportunities and maternal health care to women in developing countries. We've seen it with his decision to support removing the regs on the chemical abortion, which we know is incredibly dangerous. It has life-threatening risk, including hemorrhage and death. And we've seen that in his decision to abandon the women of Afghanistan to the horrors of the Taliban. So Joe Biden has a proven track record of not doing things to support women. And this statement was just another case of him saying that he's protecting women when actually he's placing their lives in greater danger.
The timing of this does seem to be interesting because of the weeks-long conversation that we've been having about women's rights in Afghanistan. And President Biden's, I think it can be described as nothing other as an attempt to diminish that issue in this broader conversation about, well, it's just not appropriate for us to be there. But now this women's rights issue is resurfacing again. And I want to play one way that this is happening. Jen Psaki had an interaction with a reporter yesterday who had raised the questions about the Biden administration and their response to the Texas law. And here's what she had to say about a male reporter asking this question.
He believes that it's up to a woman to make those decisions and up to a woman to make those decisions with her doctor. I know you've never faced those choices, nor have you ever been pregnant, but for women out there who have faced those choices, this is an incredibly difficult thing. The president believes their rights should be respected.
What's your reaction to really what I think is patronizing a man, though I don't know if she's assuming his gender or if she actually had checked that in advance. But what's your reaction to that, to her argument, essentially, that you're a man, so stop asking those questions?
That's incredibly patronizing. You know, abortion is not just a woman's issue, because we know that for a child to come into existence, it takes a man and a woman. Every unborn child has a father and a mother. And we need fathers to step up to the plate and to be good fathers. But we also need to stop telling men, hey, you know, sit down and be quiet, because abortion is just about a woman.
Yeah. And we have spent months hearing from the administration, and really a new initiative, I'll say, is we've not been using the term woman and instead using birthing people and trying to take the institution of motherhood away from women and make it just kind of this gender neutral thing. But suddenly, once we are now defending abortion rights again, it's back to women's rights. We can use that term again. We'll see what happens next week. But Mary, there's another part of this story that I want to talk about with you, because this really is a lot of good news in Texas. It may be a path forward for other states. We know for sure that lives are going to be saved in Texas, but since women can no longer go to abortion clinics, who's picking up the slack? Are the pregnancy centers in that state around the country able to carry this new load that's going to be coming their direction?
Well, thankfully, we have heard reports of an increase, a huge increase in the number of visits, the number of calls, the number of women looking for ultrasounds at pregnancy resource centers. Pro-lifers don't just care about the unborn child when he or she is in the womb. We care about that child their entire life, and we care about the mother too. And that's why pro-life pregnancy centers exist. And they are picking up the slack. And there are people who are ready and willing to adopt those children if that is what the mother chooses as the best path forward for her child, if that's the plan she chooses to make. And there are pregnancy centers who are ready and willing to help mothers parent if that is what is best for her and for her child. The pro-life community is here to help. And if President Biden actually was a defender of women, instead of threatening the Supreme Court, instead of threatening the legislators in Texas, he should have asked where he could make a donation to a pregnancy center. He should have said he was going to try to figure out ways to create more pregnancy resource centers or more funding for pregnancy resource centers in Texas. But instead, all he talked about was figuring out how to allow abortionists to exploit women and kill their children.
And we know that he is going to carry that message for a long time. And the need and really the desire to misrepresent what this bill is. We know that they're going to continue to do that. And there are also going to be a lot of women throughout Texas. And I think what you just referred to there as the holistic approach we have to the life issue is true. And this is going to be a great opportunity to prove that, because the emergency that they think is going to happen in Texas for women is not going to materialize. And what we're going to find out is that this really is a better path. Mary Szoch, really appreciate your time being with us.
Thanks so much.